All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Lifelong Gunner Podcast. Guys, hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps your boy to get into the algorithm that is so hard to get into and also to build a channel. All right, guys? All right, guys. So I know this video is a little bit delayed because, well, after watching a game like that, it's kind of hard to do a reaction video right after because that performance was very deflating, very lackluster, overall, it's embarrassing, to be honest with you. I mean, and I'm going to give you a breakdown, the game of how I see it and how my partner Odonfa saw it. But but I want to say, guys, like in previous videos, I spoke about the reason why we had to beat Liverpool, the reason why we had to beat a 17th place Nottingham Forest, the reason why it was important to beat that Liverpool team that was without players due to injury, due to African Cup of Nations, people like Mo Salah. And it was just generally a weakened squad in a time where they were losing lots of games. And we had to go, and it was also a home game. So we should have exerted our dominance on them. And both games, we failed to win. And the 6 points that we forego as a consequence of that had led us to where we are right now, where we were only 7 points ahead, where we would have been 12 points ahead. We were only 7 points ahead. And we lost a game, and now we're only 4 points ahead. Right? Now, when you get to 4 points ahead, that is not very comfortable. That leaves a lot of nerves on the table. Every game that we play from now on will have an element of nerve in it as a consequence of not being able to get the job done, guys. Right? And that is what I meant by the importance of giving yourself room that even if you mess up, you're still so comfortable that you will never be in a point of nervousness. But anyways, guys, we jump into the breakdown. All right, so for the first half, we started very positively. I must say, guys, the game started on a very positive note. For once in a long time, Arsenal has started a game in on the front foot. Positive, energetic, aggressive. The press was really relentless, and it was looking like, honestly, when I watched that first half an hour, I was like, or the first 20 minutes, I was like, Arsenal is going to beat this team. Arsenal is going to demolish Manchester United because it was just you never saw Manchester United getting back into that game at that tempo that Arsenal came into the game with. Um, Players look up for it. They were winning their battles. It looked very positive, guys. And then we're rewarded on the 29th minute. Goal by Urian Timber. Um, and then I did a video about this. I said Arsenal is not going to win the league based on goals because we don't have players that are capable of scoring goals. For whatever reason, they're not scoring. So I said we're going to win the league by being defensively astute. That is where Arsenal is going to win the league. So right after I made that video, Arsenal started to leak goals. It's almost like I feel like Nostradamus in a bad way because I'm just like, yo, I mean, I must be a prophet or a false prophet to have said something like that only for, that because that was our one strength that I feel like everybody would agree with that was unmovable, unshakable. Every game we will deliver at least a 7 out of 10 across the back line. And if we messed up, it will always get rectified. Our defensive line are very accountable players, and they always try to right their wrongs. Gabriel gave up a goal, score back a goal, right? But I find that all of a sudden, Saliba and Gabriel, Saliba and Nkapie, Saliba, Mosquera, they're starting to get confused and they're starting to not communicate with David Raya as much. And Saliba playing the ball to David Raya, who is who is oncoming too hard, and the ball is almost ending up in the back of the net, and we look very disjointed and confused at the back, and the communication is starting to waver. So that basically led to the goal. I know it wasn't the back line, but it was basically between the back line and Martin Zubimendi. Martin Zubimendi, lapse of concentration, passing the ball into open space to an unrunning Mbeumo. 1-1. As easy as that. When we were on the front foot, where we were dominating the game. And guys, you can't, if you want to win the league, your concentration, if you are ever in doubt, if you feel like there's any apprehension, just clear the ball. Just clear it upfield or pass it on. Going forward, who passes in 2026? Who passes the ball across goal from that position? Nobody. And a player like Zubimendi should know better. Like I can't even give him a pass, but I have to give him a pass because he's been so good for us, guys. That's one of those players. Anyways, so we're at 1-1 at that point, right? Um, sorry, let me flip through this a little bit. Second half. All right, so guys, let's go into the second half. So second half, goal, 50th minute. Poor closing down, very passive start to the second half. And that leads me to a point. I know that Pablo probably have something to say about this, but the reason why there's even a discussion around Martin Odegaard being captain is because a lot of times in the first half or in the second half, we're always a team of either half. We never ever are very continuous in our relentlessness throughout our entire game. So we come in strong in the first half and then we kind of back off in the second half or vice versa. But my thing is, what kind of messaging is going out to the team before game start? Or at halftime, what is the team talk like? What is the message? What is the energy transfer from either the manager or the captain? Because these are the two people who that is their role, right? So what is it? Because I don't think that is convincing, whatever talk they're giving, I don't think it's convincing enough. Right? Because there's no way that even if you start the game slowly for whatever reason, there's no way that you should be after already getting into the game for 45 minutes. There's no way you should be coming into a second half in a passive state. Right? Anyway, so that passiveness led to a goal. And now we're 2-1 down, guys. All right. All right. And on the 50th, the 55th minute, and I don't want to make excuses, but there was a point at which um, Lisandro Martinez makes a close fist and punches Gabriel Jesus. And to the life of me, it is so blatant and so obvious. Every man who is a man knows what it looks like when somebody is intending to punch. That close fist and that hit to the and VAR didn't pick it up. And it was quickly moved on. And I kind of blame Gabriel Jesus because I would have insisted that be looked at. You know what I mean? That to me was violent conduct, and they can't have that. Anyways, it still don't on the on-field, it still doesn't do anything to fix what had happened in the game. It was just a side moment, but I just thought that was a noteworthy. And I haven't heard anybody talk about that, which is weird. All right. We continue to play. Continue to play passive. We're very disjointed. We look very scared, nervous, void of ideas. And when a team is starting to get nervous when they make 4 substitutions in a row. And that also speaks to the fact that Mikel Arteta is admitting or is in admittance that he got the lineup wrong. If you're making if you're rotating 4 players at one time, then you're basically admitting that you got the lineup wrong. There were elements of that lineup that I thought was wrong. I thought Nkapie shouldn't have started. I thought that in left back position it should have been Timber, and I feel like at right back it should have been Ben White because they've had been getting a run of games and they look good. We needed goals. Ben White was, and that is why I love Califleur so much because he increases we are more dynamic with him in the game. I don't want to bite my tongue. But when Calafiori and Ben White plays on either side, we are way more we have way more attacking flair and we are way more dynamic. They take up different positions. Their overlap is very good. And so I wanted to see at least one of them, Ben White. And so said, so done. We threw on Ben White. He should have been a starter because we needed goals. And in the way that we started that game, had Ben White been on the field, I felt like we would have gotten at least a one or two goals or a one goal and some clear chances, right? Anyways, we make some substitutions. Mikel Merino, Mr. Dependable, is on the field now. And at this point, guys, I feel like Mikel Merino should be our starting striker. That is the most embarrassing statement I could make. We have three strikers to the tune of almost 200 million pounds. And there is a central midfielder that should be starting over each and every one of them. Right? All right, guys. Continue. Marina, Mr. Dependable. Soccer play, goal scored. Right? And then we can't hold it together. Matthias Cunha with a good shot, with a banger. So I can't. There's nothing I can knock about that goal. I don't think that many goalkeepers are stopping that. Can't blame Raya for that. But if you take your opportunities, if you get your team right, your lineup right, if the message in the before the game, the message to the players is convincing, is full of conviction, then you won't have to worry about goals like that. You won't have to worry about a Dominic Zoboszlai and a worldy free kick. You wouldn't have to worry about a Matthias Cunha last minute wonder strike because you would have done the job. But we have to worry about that because we're not doing the job. All right. So prior to this podcast, guys, I was talking to my friend Pablo, who is with us today. Pablo, welcome again to the channel. He's been on about two other episodes. And it's very, very nice. I like having him on his channel because he's also a lifelong gunner. And he also lived in London at one point too. So he has some ties to the city. All right, guys. So I was talking to Pablo, and Pablo had mentioned to me that there were some things that he wasn't happy with. Well, one of them, and I think every gunner would agree with this, was the lineup was wrong. And he mentioned that to me, and he thought that Arteta was to blame. And I think at this point, everybody would agree with that as well. Um, for all those reasons why I mentioned before, the message to the players, the lineup, and so forth. But he also expressed to me that there are three positions that are killing us right now. Defensive midfield, because he's convinced that that is where Declan Rice should be playing. Not he shouldn't be playing in a box-to-box role. He should be playing in a more defensive role, and I agree with that. And he's saying that the left wing is killing us, and I agree with that. And I think every gunner would agree with that. And he's saying that the center forward position is killing us. And I would agree with that. And I think every gunner would agree with that. So I want to ask Pablo, what do you think? I mean, and I don't want to put pressure on you because this is a question for a manager, to be honest with you. But how do we go to do? First of all, do you think that our recruitment is wrong? Why is our left wing so bad? Do you think our recruitment wrong? Why is our center forward position so bad? And if we bought Declan Rice because we thought he was going to be our rock, why is he not playing in that position since the central defensive midfield position? Tell me what you think, Pablo.
Hey,
Let's
what's
start
up,
with
Nugget?
Hey, what's up? Sorry to cut you, Pablo. Let's start with the left wing position. What do you think is the problem there?
Left wing.
Yeah.
I think the problem is, I don't know. Everything points back to Arteta because he's the manager. I don't know how much control he has over some of these things, but it's something that should be just addressed from the managerial level. So, the I don't know if you recall. Okay, we had Martinelli on the wing, right? On that left wing.
Yeah.
I can't remember who the backup was at that time. However, at that time, Martinelli was playing much better than he is now. So we always needed someone to back up Martinelli, if not take over his position, because he has been declining over the past few years. I don't know if you remember correctly. The initial player we were going to buy was someone of what's his name? Modric?
Yeah. Modric. Yeah.
Modric, yeah. Someone of that profile, an explosive winger. Because that's the type of winger you need in the Premier League. Someone who can get forward and someone who can get back. Athleticism is a major attribute. So we didn't get him, and I feel like Trossard was like a plan B. Was like a backup signing.
Indeed.
Yeah. So we're using someone, with all due respect to Trossard. Trossard, he has made some okay cameos. He has scored some goal, but that's not the type of player we're looking for. If we're playing a player like Trossard, we're always going to be handicapped one way or the other, because he doesn't have that pace, he doesn't have that athleticism. You know, he can only give it to you in glimpses and phases. So I think what I've been realizing from Arteta, or the manager. I don't know if it's his fault, but it seems as if there's a touch of complacency and reactiveness instead of proactiveness. Because you went and get a player that you did not. It's not the first time, because I think that's the same story for Gyökeres. You know, so I just, to be honest, Dougie, I did tell you before we started, I am kind of tired of talking about all of these things. That's why I sound this way. It's just the manager needs to get it right and fix it. And that's what they've been paying millions and millions of pounds to do. So they just need to do it. So I'm just saying, we are not making any statement buys since we bought Declan Rice. You know? And there's a lot of other things that need to be addressed on a managerial level. So
And you
hope
think
I
that's
answered the question.
Yeah, man, you definitely answered. That was very good. So you and you basically saying that the same issue with Trossard is the same issue with Jokeres and
Yeah,
so forth and so forth. We're
yeah.
basically not buying the statement, we're buying the backup option.
Yeah, we're just buying like quick fix it. Not really fix it, but you know, when you need to dress your cut, you just put in bandage over the wound
Right. No, I
on a
agree.
surface level.
I agree. All right. So guys, so basically what Pablo just said, right, is 100% accurate. At the end of the day, um, and guys, don't take this to mean that what Pablo is saying is that he doesn't think that these players are good players, but he's saying that these are not the players that we were were meaning to get initially. The players that we thought were the more convincing players, the Modrics, the Benjamin Sesko, or the Julian Alvarez that we were said to have been in looking at last summer by David Ornstein, and players of this sort that we always, since Declan Rice, we always somehow fell short into a plan B, and and as a consequence, we find ourselves in a position where we're looking for the answers, and the answers are not in these players. The answers are in the plan A's that we forego, or that were foregone for whatever reason. And now we're looking for answers in the plan B's, but the plan B's are not capable enough to answer these questions for whatever reason. Maybe their age profile is too high, so they don't have the energy and athleticism like Pablo suggested, which is 100% accurate. They don't have the certain abilities and certain and certain capabilities. So, like for argument's sake, Trossard is not a beta winger, and neither is Martinelli. We don't have a beta winger. That makes absolutely no sense. And whereas Martinelli has pace, Trossard is very lacking in that. Even if he was a counter, oftentimes, if he doesn't cut in, if he doesn't slant his run into midfield, their wing back would catch up with Trossard. That happens every game because he doesn't have the required pace. Yeah, Trossard scores a lot of goals. Yes, he has scored some goals that we needed, last minute goals, winners. Yeah, but you play for Arsenal. We expect that type of energy and ability. That is the minimum. We shouldn't have to play as a player for doing that. You play for Arsenal, you're a winger. We expect you to turn up like Robert Perez on a Sunday, on a Saturday. We expect you to turn up like Ian Wright on a Monday, late night, on a cold day. So we shouldn't be praising players for doing their jobs. And say we should be asking our questions: is our squad capable to take us into the future? And as Pablo, and I can't wrong him for saying that he's tired of talking about this, and so am I, because it just seems like a recurring theme, like a continuous, not just with Mikel Arteta, but from Arsene Wenger, and it just rumbling on. Yeah, it's different. We're not horrible, but we're not good either, guys. And herein lies the problem. We're not horrible, but we're not good. And I don't know where that leaves us, because we will never be able to win a league under that guise, unless the rest of the league is just having a complete shit show, like Liverpool, like how Liverpool won the league last season and everybody had injuries and it was a shit show. Unless I'm convinced that Arsenal would only be able to win the league under those conditions. And that is not winning the league. That is winning through handicap. All right, guys. So what I want to see, to be convinced from Arsenal moving forward, is that and we're no fools, us as fans, right? We know when a player is a sure thing. Julian Alvarez, a Declan Rice, a Martin Zubimendi, um, a Ricardo Calafiori, a David Raya. We know a sure thing, a Bukayo Saka. We never had to buy him, but we know a sure thing. And apart from those positions, a Urian Timber, and a Saliba. And apart from those positions, guys, we don't have any sure things in the squad. We don't have any sure things in the squad. And you realize how many attacking players did I put in those sure things? One, Saka. And that is why we're not scoring any goals, because and bear in mind that all the positions that I said we have sure things in, they're competent. They show up every week and give us at least a 7 out of 10. So you see what sure things give you, and you see what plan Bs give you. And guys, that is why we have to, or the club has to, take a greater initiative, go into the transfer window with more conviction, to understand that we have to go gung ho for this. I don't care whatever the plan is, plan years in advance. Let these players know that you want them years in advance. So when the time comes to sit down and talk about signing for the club, renewing contracts, that they trust and believe in you. And they see the team that you're trying to build are full of sure things, and they say, yo, this is a team. Because if we don't win the league this season, guys, I want you to understand that the repercussion of that is that players will start to question whether or not this is the right club for them. And all these sure things will start to leave. Has happened before. If you go long enough without winning anything, guys, players start to talk again. And Arsenal ends up in that conversation where we start to sell all our players to Manchester City. Remember? The Clichy, the Sanya, the Adebayor, the Fabregas to Barcelona, the Nasri to Man City, and all our players are gone. And we face a situation where that can happen again, guys. Right? If we don't get serious and start winning trophies. Say what you want to get about Manchester United. Yeah, they're better now, but they've had years of shit. But they've been winning titles even at their lowest. The Europa League under Jose Mourinho, the FA Cups under Ole, the FA Cups under Ten Hag. They've been winning trophies, guys. I wonder if you guys realize that they've been winning trophies while we've been coming second and we've been looking like this great team that everybody's talking about, and we haven't won shit. So there we are. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning into another episode of the Lifelong Gunner podcast. I want to take this opportunity to thank my very, very good friend Pablo for joining us. Pablo, thank you very much, sir.
No problem. No.
All right, guys. And we'll see you on the next one, guys. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on notice, share with a friend, and comment. All right? Peace and love. And we're out.